Rise and Grind, the most hyped cigar. Let's have this conversation. On tonight, we are going to be partaking of the most hyped cigar. And so without further ado, we like to just jump right into it. We're going to be smoking the CAO Amazon Basin. And as we enjoy this cigar, just on the cold draw, it's just lots of raisins. And so it's been a while since I picked up on the raisin note. And so this cigar, as we're gonna have this conversation tonight, a lot of history, a lot of nostalgia. And so we're gonna talk about hype, and I'm gonna really share with you why I call this the most hyped cigar, and why when I think about being hyped, think about this cigar. I love this cigar. I bought a box of these. I tend to buy a box every year. And so I'll tell you my whole story about hype and about the CAO Amazon Basin. I'll be pairing this cigar. I got this Uncle Nearest. This is their single barrel. And so I'll be pairing that, and I'll talk a little bit about that as well. And so as I light it and as I prepare, let me first share and say that just because something is hype doesn't mean that it's not good, and vice versa. Just because something is hype doesn't mean that it's bad. The CAO Amazon Basin is today, there's a lot of hype behind it, and it's good. This is really good. I get lots of notes of, there's this sweet milk chocolate, and within the midst of that, there's still the saltiness, there's the raisins, I've heard some mention that they've picked up maybe some fig notes, maybe maybe dates. And so there's just so much going on with this cigar. And I think it's because the tobacco is just so different. It's from Brazil. And so let me tell you the story of how this comes to be. And so in the Amazon rainforest, there's a plot of land, and the indigenous people have learned how to grow and cultivate tobacco. Now it has to be in this very special plot of land because the sun is now able to penetrate. It's only on this special plot of land where the sun reaches into the rainforest. The indigenous people have been growing tobacco there. And how do we get it? How do I get the $15 stick out here in the suburbs? Well, after the indigenous people cultivate the land, it's then they put it in these chutes, these tubes, and they let it age for about 6 months. And then they load it up on a canoe, because again, this is the Amazon rainforest. It's placed on this canoe, and then they row it. These indigenous people row the tobacco all the way, I guess, to the CAO factory. But and so it's a wonderful story. Me being from the Caribbean, I love that. I love anytime that you're talking about what I call the Earth people. And so I dig it. Thank you, CAO. I appreciate the story. I believe it's true. If you say it's true, then it must be true. But certainly there's a lot of hype behind the story. There's a lot of hype, even as you look at the cigar, there's these cords that's around it. And they say you can smoke through the cords. I've actually never done that. Now, I believe as I tell this story and as we go down this talk and this memory lane, I believe I first started smoking these in 2019. So I believe it was pre-pandemic. And we'll have that story about hype and about the Amazon Basin. first time that I remember smoking one of these, those who may not know, I'm a pastor, I'm a preacher, and I'd been invited to speak at a conference, at a 2-day conference. I was going to be the featured keynote speaker both nights. This was out in the San Diego area. And so this is my first time. So I'm a brand new preacher. I've been studying, preparing, and this is my first big invite. First time preaching somewhere outside of my local church. So I'm excited. I prepare, I get myself ready, and I go on down there, and they've got a hotel ready for me. They've got meals and they've got everything just ready for me. They have rolled out the red carpet, and I show up, and there was no hype about me because nobody knew who I was. My first time on the big stage, and I preached, and I remember that confused look of people had that, who is this guy? Never seen him before. Again, this is 2019, and I did a pretty good job. And I remember people, you can see that look of confusion, and then it turns into a look of wow. And by the time as I got done the first night, people were excited. And when I came back the second night, people were just they looked at me they received me in a whole different way. And so the people were so excited, and I was excited. And on my last night, the last night that I was there, so I was in that area for about 3 nights. First night I checked in, and then the second night I worked. Third night I worked again. And so that third night, as I'm done, I drove over to a local cigar lounge, and I went to have a cigar, and I'm sitting there thinking, wow, these people didn't know anything about me, and now they do. And that night I went to a local cigar lounge, and I got this cigar. So whatever one would have been out back then, the 2019 version, I didn't know anything about it. I knew CAO. I'd always been a fan of the Brasilia, and so this cigar just looked so different. And so I bought it, lit it up, smoked it, and really loved it. There was no hype about it. There was no story behind it. It was just interesting looking cigar. And I remember just smoking it that night, feeling as if the life is about to be a little bit better. My name is gonna be out there. There's gonna be some hype to my name. People are gonna start recognizing me, and things are about to work out. And so that was my first big night, this occasion out in San Diego. And so now I'm thinking there's a hype about me, there's a buzz. People within my circles, they know me. They're gonna start calling me up, and I made it. The hype is real. And so the next time I'm invited for such an occasion, like some type of conference, I show up, but in my mind, I made it. I got this. So I didn't really prepare, because in my mind, I've done this before. So I'm also, just kind of showed up, probably a little swagger to me, a little arrogance to me. And I showed up, and I went, I presented, preached, spoke. And for those who speak, maybe you're a comedian or maybe you're a preacher as well, there's that moment where you realize that, where you can hear crickets, and you can hear somebody in the back cough, and you could see people kind of dozing off and reaching for their phone. And I was just so embarrassed. I was just so embarrassed. And I left that night thinking, wow, I allowed the hype to get to me. Here I was, I'm still new to this, but instead of just building on the first time, I got so filled with the hype, so filled with the applause, so filled with, I allowed the hype to get to me. And that can be a dangerous thing. Hype can propel you, but hype can also hurt you. Even looking at my YouTube experience, my 7th video just took off, went viral, thousands of views every hour. I think before the week was out, that one video probably had 20,000 views, and now it's got 90,000 views, and that hype, it propelled me. But it also can hurt you. It made me say, wow, I'm good at this. I know what I'm doing. I don't need to work on editing. I don't need to work on equipment. I don't need to work on my delivery. I'm good. After that video, my next video, the numbers started going down, and then down, and then down, and then down. And that's when I had to say, wait a minute, let's not let this hype fool you. Let's get back to the drawing board. Let's work on excellence. Let's tighten up what we're doing here. Let's improve. Let's get better. Let's focus. Let's the same way you were after your 6th video, let's get back to that. And so it took a while of me just getting back to the drawing board, getting back to me, getting back to the right way of doing things. What happened was I tried to just duplicate what worked and what was hyped and what people apparently wanted. And I tried to just do that over and over and over. And I learned that the hype comes and the hype goes, but you got to focus in on doing the right thing. You got to focus in on doing the work. You got to just focus and don't let the hype, because as I said, it can propel you, but it can also hurt you. So be careful. Be careful of the hype. As I talk about my journey in dealing with the hype that I dealt with in my career, in my channel, let's go back to Amazon Basin. And so it came out when I had 2019, maybe it came out then. Smoked it, loved it. And then a couple years went by, I got the next release, smoked it, loved it. And then, maybe that was last year, they came out with a release, smoked it, and was just confused. Did not love it. Now, I don't know if the sun hit the Amazon land in a different way. I don't know if somebody dropped the tobacco in the lake when they were bringing it on the canoe. I don't know if the indigenous people took a day off. I don't know what happened, but something happened. And that was just that. But when I heard it got released again, they're back. I said, okay, I've been rocking with them for about 5-6 years. Let me go ahead and get a box. And now you just get a sense that they're back, that they went back to the drawing board, that whatever it was that they did the first time, whatever it was that they were doing, that they're back to doing it. And now it's actually even better than I remember it. It's better than that night in 2019. They must have went back to the drawing board and said, let's not let the hype get to us. Let's get back to the drawing board. Let's get back to doing the hard work. Let's put out a good cigar. And here we have what I call a 10 out of 10. So is this the most hyped cigar? Yeah, it's the most hyped cigar. And it's probably one of the best cigars that I've had in a long time. Now I'm smoking this cigar, and as I mentioned, I'm pairing it with this Uncle Nearest. This is their single barrel. The reason why I grabbed this bottle is because when Uncle Nearest came out, for those who may not know the story, Uncle Nearest, he's believed to be the person who taught Jack Daniels how to make whiskey out in Tennessee. He's African American, he was a slave, he taught Jack Daniels how to make whiskey. and it may have been a descendant of his. It's a lady. She's running the company, and she's done remarkable. They've got some great offerings. They've got a 90 proof offering, a 100 proof offering. They've got a Master's Select. They're doing some great things. And at first people thought, okay, it's just hype. It's just the story. It's just like with the CAO Amazon, the canoe and the indigenous people. And it's just a story, a feel-good story. And that's how Uncle Nearest was looked at. Like it's just a good story. It's just hype. There's no real substance there. It's an okay whiskey, but it's just a lot of hype. But then I saw a report the other day that said that Uncle Nearest whiskey, I think the company's now valued at $1 billion. You don't get to $1 billion off of hype. You get to $1 billion off of doing the good work, having the right offerings. This bottle that I have, I got this is a single barrel from Whole Foods. And so they're not just in Bevmos and Total Wines, they're now in Whole Foods, they're in grocery stores, and you don't get there off of hype. Hype can only get you so far. Hype can get you maybe some little awards here and there, some feel-good moments, but you don't get to that next level of success based on hype. At some point you gotta do the real hard work. And so they aren't just a hype product. She put the work in, and now the company is doing tremendous. But we won't even stop there. They've now bought a huge plot of cognac land over in France. And so they've gone from Tennessee and just dominating the markets here and winning all the awards here and in grocery stores here. Now they're looking at maybe, potentially, I imagine they're gonna go into cognac. If they bought all this land, all this, I imagine the grapes and the whatnot. You don't get to these next levels of success based on hype. This cigar is just so good. For those who watch my videos, you know the way I do it. I'm usually just gonna say, hey, the cigar is good, and then more so talk to you about whatever the topic is. I just wanna talk about how good the cigar is. It's just so good. And so just because it's hype, does that mean it's not good? No, it could be hyped and good. You know who's really hyped? Floyd Mayweather. Anybody could beat him? No. You know who was filled with a lot of hype? Michael Jordan. Could they beat him? No. So just because you got a lot of hype associated with you, doesn't mean that you're not the best. Doesn't mean that you're not good. So sometimes hype is earned. Sometimes hype is really hate. Sometimes you're doing so good that those who don't want to see you doing good, all they can do is say that you're hyped. Sometimes hype just means that you produce such a good product, so many people want it, and so yes, there's a buzz. If you've got a channel and it's getting thousands and thousands of views every video, that ain't hype, that's what the people want. So just because something is hyped doesn't mean that it's not good. This is a hype cigar with a crazy story, with the cigar, the experience, the taste. And you can see the construction on this. The draw is just perfect. I haven't been aging this for a while. I've been aging it for a week. I did a couple things right as far as dry boxing it, but the cigar is just ready. We've chatted enough. We talk about hype. Don't let the hype hinder you. Don't let the hype get to your own head. As you continue to rise and grind, let the hype propel you. It's good. You work for it, you've earned it. You got to that place. But don't let the hype cause you to get so full of yourself. And if you find yourself there, then don't be afraid to just go back to the drawing board. Do the real work. That's what CAO did. That's what I did. So we encourage you to do the same thing. We are here to help you. This is the People's Channel. We're here to not just talk about cigars and whiskey. And so in my fashion, Cigar is fantastic. Whiskey is great. But we're really here to help you in your life. And so if we've been of some positive impact, hit the like button. Let me know, have you dealt with the hype? Are you on the hype train? Have you had this cigar? What's your thoughts on hype? Like, comment, subscribe. But most importantly, rise and grind.